It's still happy hour with John Gaskins, but it's almost over. Last call.
We close our show with the big news from Friday, 11 a.m. Well after we had recorded our last show of last week, LeBron James, sound the Price is Right loser horns, or the Atari Pac-Man, not going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not a big surprise. I don't even know if they were one of the top 5 in Vegas odds for LeBron to choose, but we had done several segments about this, how Minnesota was the best place for him to go if he wants to win a championship, and how perfectly he would fit into what the Wolves needed as their final championship piece. A guy who played a bunch of games this past year, wasn't hurt, still can dish out 7 assists, score 21 points, grab 7 or 8 rebounds a game, be a veteran leader on a relatively young squad that just keeps reaching playoff heights, but runs into a wall. But it's not happening. And video producer Cordell Wright, diehard Wolves fan, joins us. And my reaction was he made the wrong choice, but the 76ers appeared to be, in terms of you want to win a championship as the final stage of your career, the second best option. The national media, Cordell, of course, they said that was his best option because no one spent a second considering the Wolves. And it doesn't sound like LeBron spent too many doing that either. But what was your reaction?
Disappointment, for sure. 100%. The initial reaction was disappointing to hear that he was going there. I don't think there was ever really much optimism from me specifically that he was actually going to come. But, the longer it went on, the more the possibility kind of stewed in your mind of how good a LeBron James at power forward starting lineup for the Timberwolves would really look. And so when you get that announcement that he's not coming, it was definitely a downer.
He and Anthony Edwards are somewhat good friends, certainly a lot of respect for each other. And so this is according to our friends at Score North. Judd Zolgad, Phil Mackey, they do a great podcast. And apparently LeBron told Anthony Edwards at some point within the last few days that he was not going to be playing in Minnesota. I don't know if last few days, last few weeks, whatever it was. I mean, this is a whole month and a half process. Mm-hmm. And Ant told LeBron that he will tear his head off if LeBron does not play for the Wolves, whenever the Wolves play whoever LeBron was playing for. So I'm really looking forward to the Wolves playing the 76ers twice and maybe in the NBA Finals. Who knows? So I love that about Ant. Not surprised. This is extra motivation for the Wolves. And, we could stay on the LeBron thing in general, what this means for him. And then we'll get to what this means for the Wolves. For LeBron, of course, a better chance to win an NBA title. The 76ers have always been a stacked lineup for the last several years, but Joel Embiid's always hurt. They just haven't had the right mix, and they fall apart. The Knicks swept them this year in the second round. But you put in a LeBron James, a grown-up, some maturity in there, and it's the easy East, right? It feels like all you got to do is get past the Knicks, and you can make the finals. It's a path of less resistance, and then you take your chances when you get to the finals. So he goes to the East, and that's definitely a big component of having a chance to win one final title.
I don't know if you can call it the easy East anymore, though, because there have been some big shifts this offseason in the East where you see guys like Giannis switching to a better team, making the Heat a potential contender. And then you look at Kawhi coming back to the Raptors. They're going to be dominant. The Knicks obviously coming off a title, number 1 contender, but you can't rule out the Cavs. The Cavs are still going to be one of the top 6 or 7 teams in the East as well. It's not as one-sided East-West as I would say probably the last half decade has been. So you stack up the 76ers over there now too. They're going to be looking really good. I think that's probably the best starting 5 that we've seen in 20 plus years in the NBA. You look at Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and of course Joel Embiid. That's going to be that's probably the best starting 5. I don't necessarily know how deep they are, but when their starters are on the floor, that's going to be almost impossible to guard those 5.
I think they'll be an early Eastern Conference favorite, but it's awesome for LeBron's legacy. As others have said, it's kind of just a fun little way off into the sunset if you played for the Heat and Giannis, or if you played for the Wolves or for the Warriors, and you'd be the Golden Guys, right? The Golden Boys, the geriatrics. So he didn't go to a sexy place. He went to Philadelphia, but a proud franchise, and he would be an absolute god in Philadelphia if they win a title, because they haven't won one since 1983. But just imagine LeBron coming to the Wolves. That would be one of the biggest things in the history of Minnesota sports. I can't imagine. Think about it. Who has a best one or two players ever played for any Minnesota team? I don't think we can ever say that, as great as some guys like Harmon Killebrew or Kirby Puckett, or name your favorite best twin or best Viking. I mean, Brett Favre is up there, but he's not a top one or two. Adrian Peterson up there.
Adrian Peterson was the first guy that comes to mind for me there. I was like,
he was
probably the best guy in the league at the time.
Yeah. But I mean, greatest player, not just in your position, but the history of the sport. This would have been the biggest Minnesota sports story of all time.
Yeah.
And it's obviously one of the biggest Philadelphia sports stories of all time. But how about them Wolves? So you don't get LeBron, but you now got LaMelo Ball as a point guard. I think you and I both liked that.
Yep.
Your shooting guard is Ant. Your small forward is Ayo Dosunmu. Your power forward is Jaden McDaniels. Your center is Rudy Gobert. The Spurs and OKC, probably the two biggest obstacles in the West. What do you think?
I still think they got to get one more guy. Now, when you look at the starting five that they're going to be facing for the 76ers, I think we're going to be talking about who the Timberwolves should be adding when we get closer to the trade deadline. I think you're going to be wanting to look more towards that center power forward position, somebody that can add a little more size to the team. So that way, ideally, you can get Jaden playing more of a 3 instead of a 4. That's kind of where my mindset goes for that team. I'm sure other people have other thoughts, but I would like to see Jaden playing more of a 3 so that his length comes more into factor. I think that'll help him get more steals and things of that nature. So I have an anticipation that they're going to be looking at trying to get some more age and a little more depth at the power forward position, either before the season starts or at the trade deadline.
And we'll remember, Dante DiVincenzo is hurt, and he'll be back, and now he'll be a key player off the bench. And the Wolves, they were beaten brutally those last 2 games by the Spurs in the conference semis, but that was with Ant playing at 60% at best. No DiVincenzo, which took away any 3-point shooting prowess, which is wildly important. And injuries happen to every team. But I think the Wolves are closer than maybe they're given credit for, certainly by Vegas, which, by the way, has the 76ers pegged right now as the favorite to win it all over the New York Knicks. 8 minutes was not nearly enough for this, Cordell, but it was fun. And I don't know. I'm pretty jacked to watch the Wolves in 2026-27, aren't you?
I still love that LaMelo edition. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
That is it for today's show. Big thanks to Jordan Barth talking about banana ball, and for video producer Cordell Wright. I'm John. Big show tomorrow with the USD Howling Podcasters. Happy hour and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.